The Sony A6000 was released back in 2014. Now, at the time, it cost around $650. Nowadays, you can find it used for about $350. So, just what do you get with this 7-year-old camera? Well, there's a 24.3 megapixel APS-C size sensor, a hybrid autofocus system with 25 contrast detect and 179 phase detect points, and a 3-inch tilting LCD screen with 921K dots.
Autofocus on the A6000 is weirdly good. You know, it's kind of hard to believe that this camera is almost 8 years old at this point because autofocus quality is just on par with like any modern good autofocusing system. You know, it's like the autofocus is so weirdly intuitive, it's almost like it knows what you're thinking. Like, take this clip here, for example. I'm literally just panning the camera back and forth between two cats, and somehow, some way, it just knows to lock in on each cat's face. Like, I'm not guiding it in any way, shape, or form. In terms of image quality, the A6000 is actually really good. You know, you've got that 24.3 megapixel sensor and it's held up really well throughout the years. For me personally, the A6000 has become just kind of my everyday camera that I bring with me wherever we go. You know, those of you that are old school, you remember my friend Aida who used to be in the videos? She has had an A6000 in her purse for the past 7 years, and that's a camera that we take with us wherever we go. I mean, any type of like casual everyday Instagram picture where we're just going out to eat or we're like going to get coffee or something like that, all of those pictures are taken on a Sony A6000. Now, in terms of video, the A6000 starts to show its age a little bit. There's no 4K, but you do have 1080p at 24, 30, and 60 frames per second. Now, another thing that might be kind of a bummer for serious video users is there's no log profiles. All of my footage that you're watching here is filmed in the neutral picture profile with -3 on contrast, -1 on saturation, and -1 on sharpening. It gives you kind of a relatively flat image that's pretty easy to color grade, and overall I've been really happy with the way it looks. Another thing that's kind of a bummer, especially if you make YouTube videos, is that screen only tilts upwards and downwards. It doesn't actually articulate at all. It's kind of difficult for when you're trying to film yourself. You know, you can use the app to kind of set up your scene, but it's kind of a hassle, and you can't actually hit record from the app. For whatever reason, Sony didn't update that feature for the A6000. All modern Sony cameras, you can hit record from the app to start recording a video. A6000, you can use the app to kind of set up your shot, but then you've got to walk all the way back over there, hit record, come back to where you were, I just sort of hope that you're in the right place. That's kind of a bummer, and it's a bit frustrating. Another slight disappointment is there's no mic input on this camera. You know, every Sony camera from the A6300 onwards has a mic input, but for whatever reason, A6000 just didn't get a mic input. Now, in terms of vlogging on the A6000, there's no articulating screen or a mic input, but having said that, you're probably using a wide-angle lens, so you kind of know that you're in frame already, and the A6000's autofocus is really good, so that's not really an issue. Your biggest issue that you'll find, though, if you're trying to do this walk and talk type of stuff, is there's no image stabilization in the A6000, and so you're kind of just relying on the lens's image stabilization, and as you can see, it's kind of shaky.
So of course, that begs the question, is the A6000 worth it in 2021? And for me, it's a resounding yes. You know, at that price point of $350, this is one of the absolute best hybrid cameras that you will find. You know, it's excellent for photography. You've got that 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor. It's small, it's lightweight, it's great for travel, it's great for street photography, and you've got genuinely good video on this camera. I mean, you're not getting 4K, but you're only paying $350. At 1080p on this camera looks absolutely amazing. You've got 24 frames per second, you've got 30 frames per second, you've got 60 frames per second. So, you know, you can even use it for like sort of slow motion B-roll. Overall, A6000 just packs so much punch for that $350 price range. Now, I realize a lot of you guys that have clicked on this video at random have no idea who I am, so I should point out, I'm a camera collector. You know, I've got tons of different cameras from every single camera manufacturer from all different time periods. You know, everything from film to DSLRs to mirrorless cameras, APS-C, full frame, micro four thirds, whatever. You name it, I've probably got it in my collection. Having said that, the Sony A6000 is one of my most highly recommended cameras in that $350 price range for a camera that does both photo and video. It's just kind of hard to beat at that price. The A6000 is a camera that has aged incredibly well. You know, I mean, a lot of times when you pick up a 7-year-old camera, it starts to feel like a 7-year-old camera, but the A6000, it feels like it's right out of today. You know, the A6000 is still just such a workhorse for anyone who wants to do both photo and video. If you are a hybrid shooter, you should definitely check out the Sony A6000. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.